The vanishing. It was 10:27 p.m. when the call came through to dispatch. A fire near the Trinity Trails by the riverbank. College students nearby reported the smell of smoke and the sight of orange light cutting through the fog. At first, responders thought it was a small brush fire, maybe an accident. But what they found under the faint glow of the city skyline would set off one of the most haunting investigations in Texas history. The fire was small, isolated, and recent. But it wasn't the fire itself that stopped investigators in their tracks. It was what they discovered beside it. A torn denim jacket, a charred phone case, a single silver ring engraved with the letter M. Within hours, the Fort Worth Police Department realized this wasn't just a fire. It was a message or a cover-up. Detective Laura Haynes was one of the first on scene. She'd seen countless investigations, but something about this one felt off. The placement of debris, the pattern of the burn, it didn't look random. And the jacket, it belonged to someone she recognized. A missing person report had crossed her desk just 12 hours earlier. Maya Parker, 21 years old, a psychology major at Tarrant University, described by friends as kind, driven, and quietly ambitious. She'd gone out with classmates the night before, celebrating midterms being over. She never came home. Her roommate, Ella, told detectives Maya had been last seen leaving a local bar downtown around 11:15 p.m. She said she was calling an Uber, Ella explained. Then, nothing. No text, no call, just silence. By morning, her phone was off, her bank cards unused, and the last ping from her device placed her somewhere near the Trinity River, just a few hundred yards from where the fire was reported. Detective Haynes began piecing together Maya's last night. CCTV from the bar showed her laughing with friends, dancing, under dim lights, sipping a drink that never seemed to empty. But as the night wore on, the footage changed. Around 10:54 p.m., Maya appeared alone at the bar counter, checking her phone. A man approached, mid-30s, wearing a dark jacket, neatly trimmed beard. They spoke briefly. Then Maya smiled politely, grabbed her purse, and left. No one saw her after that. The man, however, did appear again, on a second camera, positioned outside the bar. He followed her out the door, just a few steps behind. The footage timestamped 10:59 p.m. By 11:02, both were gone from view. Investigators traced the bar's parking lot, checking for tire marks or cameras from nearby stores. That's when they found something else. A parked car, partially visible in a corner of the footage. A dark sedan. The same man was seen walking toward it minutes after Maya left. When police ran the plates, the name that came up sent a chill through the station. Brian Cole. He wasn't a stranger to law enforcement. 2 prior incidents involving harassment complaints, both dismissed for lack of evidence. But the pattern was there. College-age women, late at night, near the same district. Brian was never charged, but his name was remembered. By dawn, a team was already at his apartment complex. The dark sedan was there, still parked, its tires coated in riverbank mud. When officers knocked, no one answered. Inside, faint light flickered from a computer screen through the blinds. A neighbor reported seeing Brian return home around midnight, wearing a dark jacket and carrying what looked like a backpack. Detective Haynes ordered the door breached. The apartment was neat, almost obsessively so, except for the faint smell of smoke. On the kitchen counter, next to a half-empty cup of coffee, was a single item that made her heart stop. A student ID card. Name: Maya Parker. But what investigators found next, tucked inside a folder on his desk, was far worse. And it would lead them straight into a web of obsession, deceit, and digital stalking that no one saw coming. The digital trail. Detective Laura Haynes had worked dozens of missing persons cases in her career. But this one already felt different. The clues didn't whisper mystery. They screamed obsession. Inside Brian Cole's apartment, the walls were spotless, the furniture minimal, almost sterile. But it was the computer on his desk that drew her in, still glowing in the dim light, screensaver flickering. Digital evidence never lies, and this was a gold mine waiting to be uncovered. The tech unit began imaging the hard drive immediately. What they found during the first sweep left everyone in uneasy silence. Hundreds of photos, not just of Maya Parker, but of other women too. Most were ordinary pictures taken from social media, but some were different. Zoomed-in shots, parking lots, coffee shops, street corners near the university, each image carefully labeled with dates and times. This wasn't chance. It was surveillance. Detective Haynes sat back, her jaw tight. "He's been watching them," she muttered. "He's been watching her." Phone records confirmed it. Brian's number had appeared on a text spam alert Maya once reported months earlier. He'd used messaging apps, false accounts, following her life online for weeks before ever meeting her in person. The next discovery came from his browser history. Dozens of searches for local college events, student directories, and bar promotions. Then, one phrase that stood out among the noise: how to meet someone who doesn't know you yet. The more they dug, the more deliberate it all became. A small spiral notebook found under his bed contained scribbled notes. She likes blue coffee mugs. Walks to class at 8:40. Always sits by the window. Every detail of Maya's daily routine was mapped out, from her morning route to her evening hangout spots. It wasn't love. It was fixation. Slow, quiet, and methodical. By afternoon. Then one of the officers called out. They'd found something partially buried near the base of a large oak tree. It wasn't a body. It was a camera, a motion-activated trail cam, covered in dirt. And when they played back the footage, it captured something investigators would never forget. Brian standing under the tree, looking straight into the lens, as if he knew they'd find it. He said nothing, just stared, then turned and walked deeper into the dark, disappearing from view. But what the camera recorded next, just minutes later, would unravel every theory the detectives had about what really happened that night. The truth beneath the trees. By the time the sun rose over the Trinity trails, the place felt haunted by silence. Dew clung to the grass. Police tape flapped gently in the wind. Detective Laura Haynes stood near the oak tree, the same one captured in that eerie footage. The team had already marked off the perimeter, combing through every inch of soil, every footprint, every fallen branch. The trail cam had recorded nearly 6 hours of footage, but it was the final 30 minutes that turned the entire case upside down. At 11:42 p.m., the camera picked up Brian returning to the same spot, holding a small lantern. His expression wasn't panicked or violent. It was eerily calm. He placed the light on the ground and seemed to whisper something. Moments later, he stepped aside, revealing another figure in the frame. It was Maya, alive. Detectives froze as the footage played. She looked exhausted, disoriented, but very much alive. The two exchanged words the camera's microphone couldn't capture. Then she stepped closer and handed him something small, a flash drive. The video cut off seconds later. Detective Haynes pressed pause, her mind racing. "This wasn't a kidnapping," she murmured. "It's something else." They found the flash drive buried in the same spot where the camera had been hidden. The data team began decrypting its contents immediately. What loaded onto the screen stunned everyone in the room. Dozens of confidential student files, leaked emails, financial records tied to Tarrant University's research fund, with Brian's name nowhere near them. But Maya's was. She'd uncovered something long before that night. A data breach involving private research contracts, falsified expenses, and illegal access to student profiles. Someone inside the system had been selling information to an unknown buyer, and Maya had stumbled right into it while working on a SAOI, security project. Brian wasn't just following her, he was protecting her. The digital evidence painted a completely different picture. Maya had reached out to Brian weeks earlier after meeting him through a university forum for IT security enthusiasts. They'd shared encrypted messages, plans to expose whoever was behind the breach. But then, something changed. Someone started threatening her anonymously, demanding she hand over the files. She'd stopped responding, and then she vanished. Detective Haynes leaned back in disbelief. "Everyone assumed he was the predator," she said quietly. "But he might have been the shield." The problem was, Brian hadn't come forward. Instead, he'd gone underground, hiding from the same people Maya feared. A new lead arrived that afternoon. A gas station clerk 30 miles north reported a man sleeping in his car overnight. Dark sedan, same plates. Officers moved fast. By dusk, they'd located Brian in a secluded rest area near the Red River. When detectives approached, he didn't resist. He looked tired, hollow even. "It's over," he said softly. "They already know." In the backseat of his car was a second flash drive. Inside, unedited footage from the trail cam. The missing piece. In those final few frames, after Maya handed him the drive, another vehicle's headlights flared in the distance. She turned toward the light. Then the footage froze in static. That was the last time she was seen. Forensic analysis confirmed the drive contained detailed logs exposing 3 university officials involved in the data theft. Arrests were made within days, but Maya's whereabouts remained unknown. Weeks passed. The public painted Brian as both a villain and a savior, 2 halves of a story no one fully understood. Detective Haynes wasn't satisfied with either version. She returned to the river one evening, standing where the tree O ends marked the end of the trail. The air was quiet, only water and wind. As she turned to leave, her phone buzzed. An email, no sender listed, just a single line of text. "You were never supposed to find the camera." And attached, a photo. A still frame from the trail cam that had never been in evidence. It showed Maya standing on the riverbank at sunrise, looking straight at the camera and smiling. Detective Haynes stared at the screen, her pulse quickening. The timestamp read 2 days after Brian's arrest. Maya Parker was still out there, and she wasn't the victim anymore. If you think this story was intense, wait until the next one. Because sometimes the real danger isn't the person following you, it's the truth you're trying to hide. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and remember, every secret leaves a trail.